Telecommunication infrastructure is one of the most important features of a modern city. Today I show you how I designed radio and telecommunication towers on top of a mountain so the whole city is covered with high-speed 5G internet. I'm also spanning a huge valley with a breathtaking cable-stayed bridge and set up some road infrastructure for future suburban developments around the radio towers on the hillside. So, let's have a look how everything is located in the context of the city. The landscape on the map is extremely hilly, so the first thing I did was to build an expressway bridge across the valley to connect the suburbs on either side of the valley. These aren't built yet, of course, but we're laying the foundations for interconnected suburbs. For the bridge I used the vanilla cable-stayed bridge and it reminds me a bit of the Millau viaduct in France. I simply pulled it over in a curve and you'll have breathtaking views above the skyline. The valley below we have to develop in one of the future episodes. For that we have to extend the river, connect both highways and run the train tracks through it. I can also imagine having large sidings here for long cargo trains. That would be pretty cool, I think. Or what would you build down there? Then I extended the highway further right across the hill so that it ends up somewhere in the city at the other end, where the fort is located. That will be an important expressway and one of many ways both sister cities will be connected, but it could also function as a kind of ring road, as it runs more on the periphery than right through the city center. On the right-hand side we also had the start of this expressway that runs diagonally up the hill. Of course I wanted to connect both roads somehow. However, the gradient was extremely steep. At the beginning I wanted to do it with a normal traffic signaled intersection, but the gradient would have been far too steep to be realistic for such an expressway. So I took and laid it below the bridge and then built a partial cloverleaf interchange so the upper road has a free flow of traffic and the road below has only 2 signal faces for an additional left turn. Like that, they are still connected in all directions. The ramps are relatively steep on the right side, but I think it's manageable. I tried to make it as smooth as possible regardless. The left-hand side wasn't a problem because we had roughly the same level there, as the road continues up the hill. I don't know if the design is perhaps a bit overkill, but in the end I'm actually quite happy with it. I think I would have preferred a normal intersection though, because this interchange has quite a big footprint on that hillside here. To make everything a bit nicer and safer, we then put guardrails everywhere with the road building features and connected the individual lanes better so that there are no unrealistic and unnecessary left turns or anything like that. We will also use the small footpaths to build walls along the road. These are there to separate the roads from the hills a bit better and it simply looks so much nicer in my opinion. I think that's a good technique to just get a bit more texture here and there. It's also quite realistic as we can find concrete walls along the roads almost everywhere in difficult terrain. But I'm also looking forward to some more options to detail roads in the future. Maybe one day there will be more real walls so you won't have to use the footpaths anymore. Maybe with different textures like bricks or arches as well.
Hanging on the weekend, it was done because we were gonna be friends, but we fell in love, got a little bit naughty, irresponsible, so we said let's stop it, we're better on our own. But you stayed in my head, standing in some beams, and when in my bed, you were in my dreams. We're still like kind of best of enemies, but now we're making making love till we're out of energy.
Here I had this hill, where I later placed the large antennas and telecommunication towers. Around them we will have a mix of fields, trees and detached single-family houses, so I had to create a suitable road network that I would also connect to the expressway so the people have good access to the general road network of the city. Unfortunately, there won't be any real public transportation near this area. For the street layout, I largely oriented myself to the terrain and chose a relatively curvy and organic layout. I like to use these small alleyways or smaller roads I've created myself with the Road Builder mod. In any case, they shouldn't be as wide as the normal roads, as we're more in a rural area here, although it's not actually that far from the city. I'm looking forward to when everything here is filled with houses, but we'll take care of that in one of the next episodes, I'd say. In general, it's actually not that difficult to build realistic rural road layouts. There are also some tips I can give you, but I can also make a dedicated video on that if you want. The tip I find most important for building realistic cities is to simply look at how cities look on maps and in real life. I always have Google Earth next to me open for inspiration, and I mainly use it as a guide. There you can also see that the streets usually adapt to the terrain, and not everything is laid out as a perfect grid. There are of course exceptions like San Francisco for example, but in general they are natural, curvy, winding roads that are also oriented towards rivers, forest lines, hills or fields. Of course, you can also build dead ends and dirt roads where needed. Placing a lot of cul-de-sacs is how you get the perfect American suburb, for example. When it comes to zoning, we have further distances between the buildings, and everything is simply not so densely built up, simply rural. What is always good in the end is if you line the streets with roadside trees and bushes or hedges and place power lines along the road. But I'll show you all that in one of the next episodes, of course.
Got stuck you were looking for clues, but that just made you more confused. You just need to see how lovely, how lovely, how lovely it is for you. Got stuck you were looking for clues, but that just made you more confused. You just need to see how lovely, how lovely, how lovely it is for you.
Here at the end I used Move It to make the intersections a little wider, so we have a bigger turning radius and it just looks a bit better. Maybe a bit unnecessary, but makes a small but subtle difference in my opinion.
Life didn't fall apart with it, couldn't miss what was intended. Let the fears fly away, ride it out like a wave, call it in on your favors, call them in. Let the fears fly away, ride it out like a wave, allow yourself some grace. You can have it, just like the wind, just let it pass through, just let it pass through.
So now we come to the part that probably made you click on the thumbnail. I've built 4 telecommunication towers and radio antennas on this hill here to provide the whole city with high-speed internet. Gameplay wise, it probably doesn't make a difference, but in real life we kinda always have them located on hills, including in my hometown. I decided to use a small one, 2 large ones and this Japanese radio tower to get a bit of a cluster of towers and not just a single one. Maybe the different telecom companies all have their own tower, but would have also wished for a bit more variety. One in the shape of the Eiffel Tower would have also been nice. These are all on the central lot here, and I then border them with a fence and build access roads to every single one. In any case, the majority of the city will then have full coverage and people can no longer complain about a lack of internet speed. A tip for the best coverage is to hide these towers in skyscrapers with Move It, for example. So you can have the best effect in the city center as well without having a visible tower.
Just let it pass through, just put it past you, you do it, you
chance and just look what you found. Yeah, you know that it was about time. Yeah, it's new now, cause you left all the baggage behind. Took a chance and just look what you found. Yeah, you know that it was about time. Yeah, just like the wind, just let it pass through. Just let it pass you. You do what you do. Just like the wind, just let it pass through. Just put it past you. You do what you do.
Here I have detailed everything with different surfaces, such as gravel around the roads, but also the beach sand surface to give the meadow a not quite so green look. There are also a few bushes and trees missing, and we're basically done for this episode. Let me know what you think about the result.
Take my hand and follow me. Don't be scared. I know these streets. Don't you feel so alive? You could just die here in my arms, safe and sound. So take my hand, take all of me. Maybe I'm delirious, but I can't get enough of your touch. Delirious, hope that it's not too much. I just feel so alive. I could just die here in your arms, safe and sound. Maybe I'm delirious, but I can't get.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this little city update. If so, giving the video a like is always appreciated and helps the video to get recommended to others. You can also leave a comment on what I should build next or what you would change. If you would like to explore the city I'm building by yourself, you could check out my Patreon page. There you'll find the save game for just $1 a month and all the necessary mods and graphics settings, if you're also interested in that. That's also the best way to support the channel, and I would like to thank all my Patreon supporters so much for their contributions. You're making such regular videos even possible. The playlist of the series you'll find in the end card or linked in the video description. And now I say, have a lovely day, and I'll see you hopefully in the next video. Bye bye.